Hi everyone, welcome to this live stream on intuitive channeling and reading. This will be one of those where I don't really come prepared with anything, but I do feel like I just need to do this for my own personal ironing out of everything that's happening right now. Before coming on here, I did have the main thought of will and how each of our personal abilities to apply our will is being tested at this time, where I think there's like a will meter. And depending on how much energy you feed the meter, there's a game. I mean, all games function on the system anyway, but depending on how much you fill the meter, you will get a certain amount of feedback. There are certain things that I've been experiencing over the past few days in terms of the way I apply my will, where I shove through it and I get shocked that, it was actually not that difficult to get the output that I wanted, even energetically. Over the this past day and a half, one of my cats went missing. And at first there was no stress. Then the stress started to build. Then I pushed my will. I prayed. And in the will I prayed. And we found him this morning. So obviously, with things like that, I try to sit in the in-between where I say, yes, fine, my prayer did something, but I also think that it was just a matter of universal timing that he was to arrive at the time. He was to come back home at the time that he did, Or rather, we found him at the time that we did. So I don't know, things like that. It's like there's a convergence, or we are going to understand more about the way energies converge in order to bring about what we want. And there's a signal that convergence is telling us. The way that the manifestation comes in, the way that the convergence happens, has symbols and signals about what's happening internally inside of you. Another example, I seem to consistently attract avoidant men, which is very interesting as well, seeing how it seems to be a topic every season on social media. I also think that with the way that it blows up seasonally, the topic about avoidant people, I think there's a collective of people who connect with avoidant people every season. Then we take it to social media and then it becomes a trend because we all happen to be going through it at the same time. So anyway, it's very interesting. The avoidance thing, it then goes without saying that, just by the way, if you happen to be part of this pattern and you are attracting avoidant people too, the T is that you're avoidant as well. So the way that life can directly speak to you and tell you things about yourself and tell you things that you need to work on right now is coming very, 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 or is becoming very useful, becoming very necessary. It's becoming a main part of our experiences. Yeah. And I think it'd be helpful for each of us to lens life that way. And as I've mentioned a lot of times before, doing this will help us deal with problems. Problems will stop looking like problems and more like signals of how our lives are talking to us, or more like what we need to focus on, or whatever. Like everything is being reframed right now. Good and evil are also being reframed right now. And I think the evils, the greater evils that be, they are what they are. But I think what this should be doing is allowing us to question the kind of shadows and evils we have within, the kind of ones we are willing to accept in our direct community, what we want to build from these evils that we can't. I don't think that evils and darkness and all that, I don't think it disappears. I do think with time, though, it has to find better management. And that kind of work obviously only starts within. So internally managing your own darknesses, how you deal with them. I personally, it's very, very difficult still, and very difficult to even understand, but I highly support following the intention, even if you don't understand it, of showing compassion to all of your parts, including your shadow bits and the shadows of the world. I've also recently started rereading the Bhagavad Gita, but the book that I have is one of those. What is it? It's not the whole Bhagavad Gita. I've never read the Gita in its entirety. I don't think I'd be able to take it. I think I could only dive into that in my wisdom years, but I'm reading the book I have is an interpretation of it. I've posted it somewhere on my social media. So I guess then rereading holy scriptures or rereading holy texts or spiritual texts, the ones that started your journey off so that we can rebuild that foundation again. What is that book? What is that book that we all love? Now? By Eckhart Tolle. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But that one we all love. Rereading that book, rereading the Four Agreements. We all love that one as well. The Untethered Soul. I personally love biographies of people who have literally gone through their own hero's journeys. So I like people who have written about death, about their relationship with chronic illnesses. That's a very spiritual experience for me. So things like that, touching base with all of that. Maybe even engaging with the Bible intentionally in your own way, or any holy text. But I think now would be a good time for that, to tap into our inner hierophants and high priestesses, and be very, very, very studious about pouring time into our spiritual practices and our spirits and the spiritual parts of our lives. So if you are somebody who practices ancestral reverence, then this would be patlaring season, cleansing season, palazaring season, all of that stuff. Although again, the purging is very, very difficult for me. So I always recommend that but I'm so scared to do it. But you should do it if you're brave. And be prepared to let go. That also feels like a very big theme in general during this time. Of what? I'm not entirely sure, but it does feel like a lot of endings, I'm feeling, I don't know how to describe this. I barely ever know how to describe these things. Okay. Can you imagine a team of elders, a council of elders who are providing jurisdiction over a situation? And so what I'm receiving then in that situation is the energy of the council of elders coming to an agreement and putting that agreement forth. That action of putting the agreement forth will then have its consequence. It will result in, okay, now that we've said this has to happen. This has to go. You will have to do this now in order to settle the contract or whatever. You know what I mean? Things like that are happening right now. And as such, a lot of loss is due to be processed inside our energetic body. So maybe externally there's no prompt, but inside you may feel the sense of grieving. You may just feel like grieving. Not crying, grief, a mourning. Realizations that put you in a state of, oh, that is really done. It really is time to say goodbye. It really is time to change. I'm getting also the potential of versions of you that will never come back. Things happening that are allowing you to realize things about yourself, about others, that change the way you are fundamentally. And you will never be able to return to who you were yesterday, for example, or last week. That's how quickly these changes are happening as well, as we've all been saying. Time does not matter anymore. And then with this sense of like grief, because it also feels like these things come in waves, these grief waves, sadness waves, depression waves, victimhood, shame, whatever. all these waves that come. Every time they come, it feels like we get, it feels like, I don't know how to, I keep saying I don't know. It feels like we get weighed down by it even more. You know, like if we were here, grief waves comes, then we're here. Another grief wave comes, then we're here. And the point is to at least stay put, at least. If you do find that you're doing this, you're declining, just pay attention. That's the quickest way that you can catch it. So if then, practically speaking, if you find yourself slipping into a depression, or if you are slipping into old habits that you already decided, a version of you has already decided that doing this is not productive, you're finding yourself doing it again, pay attention. Be aware of that, the possibility of slipping back into old habits or ways of thinking, addictions, and specifically thoughts of despondency and hopelessness. If you are somebody who tends to go through suicidal ideations and all of that, beware of all of that creeping it back up again. And take that as the general invitation, because I did feel like a few months back, I don't even know when anymore, I did feel as though the suicidal ideations and all of that are going to start increasing. The madness, the psychosis, our mental space is going to start being more volatile because of the energetic shifts that we are going through. Depending on what you want to believe in, it's been helpful for me as somebody who goes through seasons of that to remember that the sensation of wanting to die is the energetic signal that some part of you is actually dying. And the best thing you can do is allow the death to happen. On a personal level, I'm very Plutonian, so take this with a grain of salt. If it doesn't resonate with you, don't take it. But I like to face the death. For me, there's even a voice sometimes that says, if you feel like dying, then do it, you know? Walking into that and facing that with my chest has allowed me to, that chest facing reminds me that I can face it. It reminds me that it's bigger than me. Because there's also that moment of anticipation. You know, that whole idea of how the thing to fear is fear itself. When the thing that you're fearing actually happens, there's really no space for fear. Then it transmutes into pain or grief or whatever that thing is that you fear. But the scariest part is the part that you anticipate as scary. So I think the same goes with death. Because we're all good, it's inevitable. It's the one promise we have in this life, you know, that we're all going to die. So that's a base fact at the very least. That's also very helpful. I've seen a lot of people use the line that says you're going to die anyway. So you may as well just wait it out and see in between, because you're going to die. Death will come for you anyway, you know? But anyway, looking at it, facing the possibility of it, contending with it, there's something about the inside of me that expands very, very like, I don't know, like a beast, or like the way a bear stands up to make itself bigger. Something very naturally happens in my spirit when I face the possibility of dying. And when I really sit with it and I really, really like, you want to do it, then do it. Then there's a moment after that that's kind of like, okay, I don't know how to explain it. It's like this, the place, the layer within me of intention and action then starts to get questioned. And that's the part that gets big and says, actually, fuck no, I'm not going to die. I'm bigger than this. I'm bigger than everything. I can do anything. No problem in this life is bigger than, oh, come on. No, man. And then, then everything, the wheel starts to turn again. I start to feel grounded in my body again. It still feels like absolute poo-poo, like doo-doo. Oh, yeah. Shout out to my people, the depressed girls. Doo-doo. But even through that doo-doo, sitting through it and like feeling it and having just had this revelation that reminded me, oh yeah, I'm bigger than everything. I'm the biggest thing there is. Then the doo-doo feelings start to feel a little less doo-doo. They're still doo-doo though. The shitty feelings are still going to feel like shit. And I think that people who especially feel shitty feelings, that's like another thing that helps me. That's kind of annoying sometimes, but it really does help, is to revere myself for being able to feel at all. Because there's some people who really are incapable of feeling the kind of expansiveness that we process on a daily. They're like numb to stuff, and we can feel it all. Even the really, really shitty, painful, dark stuff that makes us want to dip. So shout out to us and to the energy that we are cooking, because that's what we're doing. Every time we face these things, every time we feel like we want to die, every time we feel hopeless, we're cooking energy inside of us. And it's part of the process to come out with a very beautiful meal that is your life. I'm going to start shuffling now, and I think I am actually only going to go about shuffling from the Intuitive Tarot. These are very subconscious touring things that we're dealing with right now. Nothing is happening on a surface level. Nothing right now is happening on the surface. So we have the Two of Discs as the opening energy, which I will go about reading the interpretation for, most importantly. So I'll highlight this as the main energy. And then we have the One of Rods and the Magician. The Magician has been a big theme in the readings that I've been seeing a lot, and I think has to do with what I opened with what I said I felt before starting this live stream about our will and the fact that we are charging up our will meters, and we have to be interactive about charging it up. So revisiting the mental states, the depression, suicidal ideations, all of that, it will be enough. And this is going to sound absolutely insane for people who are like, who have been walking through the system of their brain being diseased. Please, if this resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, then leave it. But I believe, with my experience of this, that just your intention is enough. So long as you continue intending to live, any intentions to die will be swallowed up by love, as cheesy as it sounds, because an intention to live is a love for your life, no? It's a love for yourself. And I think that's also part of what these suicidal ideations, depression, all that brings up. It brings up the gap between you and, I guess, your divine sense, your divine connection, your connection to God, your connection to love, all of that shit, that good shit, of which is always true. It's just, again, some part of you is dying inside. But it's like, yeah, you have to usher your death. But it's more like with this presence of the One of Rods, this is the birthing part now. You've already died. The death is happening, or it's done. Yeah, it's happening or it's done. Now it's time to be renewed, rebirthed, and it's time to bring in your rebirth yourself. So something that has been surprisingly helpful is very basic, and we see it everywhere on the internet. But I don't know, for me, I'm integrating it more and more, realizing more and more that there are actually parts of this that I didn't understand before that now I understand more of, the part of deciding who you want to be. Just like imagine whatever scenario you're going through, whatever your thoughts are, that idea of watching yourself like you're a movie. Have the narrator in the movie say, describe your situation. So Tandy's feeling very depressed right now. She's feeling very, very sad. She's feeling exhausted, da-da-da-da-da-da. What is she going to do with these energies? Then the narrator in my head turns to me and goes, so what would you like to do now? Yes, you're feeling like shit. Yes, life has been hard. Yes, you're tired. Yes, da-da-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. What would you like to do now? What kind of person would you like to be? What would you like to do with all of these things that have happened in your life? Oh, another question is, what kind of person would you like to, like, where are your ideals? I don't know if that makes sense. Whatever the situation is that you went through, your ideal person, maybe not you, fine. The ideal person you have in your head, how would they behave to the situations you've been through? How would they react to the way that you're feeling right now? What would they do if they were in your shoes, your ideal person? Then bring your ideal person and you as close together as possible. You'll realize that you are actually your ideal person all the time. That's also the point with these new loves that are oncoming. We have the One of Cups beneath the deck and then Temperance. The new love energy really doesn't leave. It's a consistent, every reading, Knight of Cups, One of Cups, 10 of Cups, 2 of Cups. Every reading for the past how long now? Like 2 weeks? Yeah. An opportunity for something new. Oh, this sensation has also been absolutely insane lately. My womb space has literally felt like this, like warm, like there's a fire and there's movement and there's life in there and there's knowledge. And like literally any time nowadays when I need answers or I'm feeling low, even with the suicidal ideations, I put my awareness inside my womb. Something just happens from there, man. Something just happens from there. There's also the idea of candle meditation, staring at a flame, breathing. Simple, easy stuff. For the suicidal girlies, for the depressed girlies, the mental illness girlies. I know that the system has told us things about it. And I really want to, again, emphasize, highlight, I am so for Big Pharma in the sense that I know how all of the systems, no matter how dirty they are, all of them have helped us. They are part of our human evolution. It is all useful, unfortunately, including AI. Technology, all of it is so useful. It's fucked. We're kind of killing ourselves in the process, but this is part of samsara. But, okay, I think that the people who are so emotionally like burdened by the shifts of life, part of our emotional burden is the awareness of the other worlds that we have to acknowledge. I do not see a straight line with a brown-skinned person with depression only relying on SSRIs and whatever the fuck else the system has for us, which are useful, but I do not see a straight line in that. I think people who are inflicted by emotional heaviness have to turn to things like this. We have to, even if it's a little, we have to rely on the unseen. A depressed person, a suicidal person who is an atheist, I do not know. And I always bring those up. I always bring that up. Because I really, again, times like this, I really can't understand how people can survive without the idea of God and divine connection and all of that stuff. I don't understand how people can do it. We also have the presence of fire and water. And with one beside the other like that, I love the shape of Temperance and the Magician. I love their arms. I love what's happening. Oh my gosh, I've never noticed that. I've never held Temperance and the Magician side by side like that and noticed the shape of them. It's beautiful. But exactly. This is incredible. One is will done by you, and the other is will done by the angels. And with this comes a balancing. What did I say earlier? The convergence of manifestation. Yes, the convergence of manifesting work and finding the middle ground between those two. Finding how much of that is your will and how much of that is God's will, balancing those energies. That is what we're learning. We have the Three of Rods beneath the deck as well. This is a really prime time for manifestation, for working with the energies in that way. But I would not say that it's in the same, I wouldn't say that now is the time to be working with manifestation in the way that we see it slapsticked online. This feels like a much more nuanced understanding of how manifestation works for the individual and how it is very, very different per individual. Like White people do not manifest the same way Black people do. Women do not manifest the same way men do. They, them, femmes, queer people do not manifest the same way that cis people do. Cis-normative people, neurodivergent people do not manifest in the same way neurotypicals do. It's all very individual. Very individual. We each have to follow our personal senses. I said I'd read the interpretation. I also felt called in the beginning to mention this, the way that I'm presenting to myself, and I think this might be useful to other people. There's a way that I am, that I'm becoming, that is reminding me a lot of who I was around the time COVID started. That I've always known needed refinement. I've always known there's a version of myself back then that I could have been that would have changed everything about who I am now. But I wasn't, because of fear, shame, all of that shit. I'm finally, I feel, reaching a point where I've done enough shame work to be able to pull that version of me back and to be able to do that again. It's like I time traveled back in time to give that version of myself another chance. So I think that might be useful for you. Consider a version of yourself from the past. Oh, like undone. Undone, guys. Oh my God. Undone, please. Consider a version of yourself in the past that maybe you forgot, or that you keep revisiting saying, wow, I wish I wasn't that person. I wish I didn't make those decisions. I really could have done better. Whoever that person was, give that person another chance. Give that person another chance. Take that in whatever way you want. I don't know how to describe that any further, but just pay attention to that. We have certainties and uncertainties, stress, pressure, choices, working with body energies, deciding whether to take an uncertain path, embracing the unknown. Yeah. A compelling, mesmeric urge in life that is in danger of becoming slightly addictive. Be aware of that as well. You know that point in spirituality or awakening or wherever where you kind of feel a little better than everyone because you can see that you've tapped into a way of awareness and a sense of awareness that not a lot of people are privy to. Be careful of that. Be careful of spiritual bypassing, egocentric spirituality. And be careful of taking this divine power that we have and the divine connection that we have with God. Be careful of taking that as something that you have. You don't have it. It's something you are. It's something that's given, gifted, bestowed on us, but it's not something that or rather, let me say, if you don't respect the boundary between you as a human being and you as a divine being, if you don't respect or acknowledge if you're not humble to the boundary of that, yes, then the power you have could be something that takes power over you. Like how you do drugs, you don't let the drugs do you. Something along those lines feels important here as well. I think the best way to temper any of that energy is through humbleness, humblitude, waiting, patience, moving slow. I'm also receiving drinking water. And like I'd mentioned with the presence of the One of Cups and the Magician, fire, candle work, womb work as well. I would also beware of fertility, as in if you as a watcher right now you're a womb owner and you are, I don't know, you think about having sex or whatever, just beware that you could be in a very fertile season right now. So be careful of getting pregnant. Yeah, no, be careful of getting pregnant. Yeah, be careful of creating new life unintentionally, because you are you're right there, you know? I don't know how else to describe that. You're right there. It's also giving, be careful, beware of creating new relationships unintentionally, because again, you're right there. In terms of manifesting, it feels like there's a lot of energy around you. And if you don't manage energy within you and around you, I don't know. And if you don't manage that properly, if you don't manage what's available properly, then you could bring things into existence that you didn't think through, you know, like the scenario of a couple having casual, unprotected sex, and then suddenly they fall pregnant, and that was not the intention. But yeah, they were just they were just hooking up casually, something like that. I think for the close, as a closing energy, I should read the interpretation of temperance. I think this is the best way forward. Balancing energies in yourself and your life. Replenishment of the conscious through creative interaction with the unconscious. Openings, a new sense of connection. A new sense of connection. And I think this is with the self as well, with the soul, divine, with your angels, etc. An angelic helper manifested in the outer world. Awareness of when action or inaction is necessary. Patience, silence. Okay. I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that this was helpful. It was definitely helpful for me. These readings are always so helpful for me in like getting everything clear about what's happening inside of me energetically. Is it honestly feels these days like there's always something happening inside of me energetically. Please protect yourself. Please stay prayed up. Please stay strict to your rituals. No excuses. Again, don't be surprised if some shit goes down that is inexplainable, some random crazy stuff. Pray immediately. Pray immediately, okay? You hear random stories, or you even see, like on the street, you see a random car accident, you see impact of something huge, wherever, however, I don't know. Pray immediately. Just turn straight to prayer. And yeah, look after yourself, look after your loved ones. These times are not about playing. It's very serious what we're in right now. But it's fun. Very fun. Try to always have fun. Thank you. I will see you in the next reading.